leaving the 99, the shepherd who leaves the 99 sheep. And here you get this image of 99 sheep, and you get an image of the gravitational pull that all of us as staff feel when we're trying to figure out how do I reach the campus when there's all this need within the students I already have, the 99 that I have. And there's this competing philosophy of ministry which says, invest in a few and impact many, and so I'm going to just stick with these 99 and not worry about the rest of the campus. And then there's this other view which says, let's reach the campus, let's do outreaches that cost $50,000 and reach hundreds of people at a time. And so that's what we saw over at Michigan. And it feels like the two are mutually exclusive. It feels like you can't do one and both. You cannot leave the 99 and go after the one. You can't create that kind of culture without having leaders that burn out, that don't get spiritually formed, that don't get discipled. And the question is, how do we have focus on that one when there's 99 leaders? That's what it feels like. And the third example is Zacchaeus, where Jesus himself says, for the Son of Man has come to seek and to save the lost. And this is what our students need to be known for. This needs to be one of the distinguishing marks of Christians that come through our ministry, that we disciple. They understand that they are here to seek and save the lost. And we're going to talk about what that focus can look like without losing our other values. So I want to talk about staff first. Let's talk about staff and the challenge that staff feel. When I was first on campus, this is how my staff life was. When the first 3 years, I would meet with students, and we would meet at a coffee shop, and if you were to look at my schedule, you'd see in my calendar, it took me about 3 weeks to even start using a calendar, but when I finally started using one, I just had all these appointments with students. And if you were to go see my appointment list, all these students, and I'm sitting down with all of these Christians, every single day I'm sitting with Christians. And I'm sitting with these Christians having these really deep talks, spending hours and hours and hours having deep conversations and deeper conversations and then deeper conversations and then deeper conversations. And then I go back to their house and have even deeper conversations with them. I'm not joking. I mean, I would get deep with these guys. All right. At the end of my second year, I started interviewing seniors in our ministry, asking them, what's your feel about the ministry? After 4 years, what do you feel like you gained, and what do you feel like is lacking? And I was sensing at this point something was missing. And all of them unanimously, even though they knew each other or not, were saying the same thing. This community doesn't have any purpose. It's like we're all here for ourselves. And you could tell when they were saying this, it wasn't like something they had crystallized in their mind a while ago and were, saying that with conviction. It was like they're having a moment like, yeah, it's like something's just missing. And we would have like an hour conversation. I interviewed every senior, every one of them. I interviewed them over a meal, and I asked them detailed questions and dug into their experience. And as they're explaining things to me, it finally come up. Yeah, it's like I think I made some amazing friends here, and we got really close. But yeah, I really feel like I learned a lot about God. And it felt like something was just missing. We had no purpose, and it was like interview after interview, people saying the same thing. I'm here because we're here for ourselves. And that started to create a wake-up call for me. The biggest wake-up call, and I think some of you have heard this last year at regionals, was when I'm sitting with a student I had discipled for those 2 years. And I'm talking to him, I'm saying, talking to him about evangelism, kind of throwing some ideas this way. He's like, I don't know why you keep talking about evangelism. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, if I wanted to do evangelism, I would have joined Campus Crusade. I don't know why. I joined this fellowship because I wanted community, and I want to go deep with God. Quote. The thing is it's like the student I shared in the first meeting. This is all of us. I mean, everyone else can relate to this. We've had a moment like that. And for a lot of us, our spirituality of increasing depth with God is cultivated in this kind of paradigm and context. That I go deep with God and with Christians, doing Christian things, meeting with Christians all the time, doing Christian stuff. With all due respect, we find ourselves criticizing monasteries, but we're like monasteries in that respect. I'm not dissing monasteries, but we're the caricature of the monastery that we criticize. Because I don't know that true, Thomas Merton kind of broke. He kind of, anyways. Thomas Merton. Here's the main thing. The main thing is that staff have a tremendous challenge in breaking out of the 99 and reaching the 1 in a way that invites the 99 to be a part of the journey with them. And that's what Jesus did. but it feels like you're leaving the 99 high and dry to be devoured by wolves to do it. That's what it feels like. And we have to find out how to identify those feelings that we have about that experience and know how to face it and overcome it and meet it the way Jesus did. So how does staff focus? How do we deal with the temptation that year after year we're spiritual therapists, counseling our students? And this is not to deny the value of that. I went through 3 years of counseling, 3 years of deep depression, and I still sit with students and talk about depression. I still talk about eating disorders. I still talk about their family issues. It's just that it doesn't end there. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to lay down some really practical ideas on how staff can do this. The thing here for staff is that staff need to think about how to develop the appropriate focus. And as area directors and divisional directors, you need to be thinking about how to shepherd your staff you supervise to have that kind of focus. And I want to challenge us to be pushing towards the boundary of fanaticism as we help them focus. That we, as InterVarsity staff, know that we live in an intensely culture of balance in our ministry. We have like 12 core values and something like, and so there's this sense that when we step out in evangelism, we have to do it all at once. Our evangelism instantly must be totally discipleship, have all the justice, be totally mature in its prayer and its spiritual formation in every aspect before we'll do it. Because we don't want to be fanatics. And so because it has to have everything, we don't take a step. So what does it look like to take some steps? What staff will make it their number one priority? Priority does not mean it's all you do. What's a priority in it, I tell you? What does it mean to have a priority? Yeah, it's the most important. It doesn't mean it's the only important. It means what staff and what students on your campus will say, this year, the most important thing against which all other things that I do is measured against is in evangelism. For me, it doesn't matter if our leadership size rises or falls. See, it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter at all, but to me, that's not my primary concern. That is a concern I have. It's not the number one concern. It's how am I getting those leaders to think missionally and to get connected to the harvest on campus, to reach non-Christians. What staff and students can commit an entire year to asking the question, what does it look like to connect with people on campus? And what does it look like to love people on campus the way that Jesus would? What does it really mean to be the presence and the hands, the feet of Jesus on this campus? Because our campuses are all very different. And I really think it takes somebody to actually put themselves in that place, deep undercover, for them to understand how to do that. For UCSD, our journey, our challenge of focus was we formed 2 staff teams, and me and 2 other staff became an evangelism staff team. And that's all we did. Every staff meeting, it's all we talked about. The students we discipled were students that were committed and willing to join us in witnessing and doing gigs. This is it. Now, I'm not telling you got to do this, go form a staff team. That may not work for your context, but this is what we did. Every week, we were learning, where are the non-Christians? They weren't in our fellowship. And our students didn't have friendships with them. So how do we meet non-Christians when this Christian community is like a Christian fraternity? How do we get out there and get beyond the community? So we started hanging out with freshmen. We started hanging in the dorms. We started listening to people's spiritual questions, their spiritual concerns, their spiritual challenges, their spiritual needs. And we were getting in touch with the pulse of our campus. But see, your campus is going to be a little different. And you have to ask, who will do that? Who will do that? Who will, by the end of the year, really give you testimony after testimony of students sharing with them what their spiritual needs are and spiritual barriers and questions are on your campus? Who will do that? Priority doesn't mean nothing else matters. It's not black and white thinking. It's a dualistic kind of thinking. Little Richard Rohr. Anyway, sorry. Couple things real quick. Checks and balances. I do think that we do have some natural checks and balances in our ministry. I think we do have, if we're in a team setting, we have other people in the team that will be voices of helping us remember other values. James was reminding me that if we're the person of power in our area or division, that we may need to be especially attentive to people who don't have that power, that are speaking those voices of